Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a setter Q&A question. It's going to be a Q&A video today. I put on all social platforms. What questions do you have? Burning questions in regards to appointment setting. And you guys came with some questions. So my task is simple here. I'm here to answer it. So first question, let's get into it. Excited for this. It's my first time doing a Q&A video like this. So cheers to many more. When I started setting, why and how? So when did I start appointment setting? Why did I start it? And how did I actually get started? So this is a good way to start off the Q&A. Pretty much I started this time last year, pretty much. So, or in October actually. October 2022, October, November 2022. So just a bit of backstory for the guys who are new. Quick dialogue or quick backstory. So I used to run a coaching business, was in uni at the time, dropped out of first year. Decided it wasn't for me, didn't align with the path that I want my life to go in. Okay, it was a simple decision there. As much as I would get pressure from other people around me, friends, family, etc., I decided to do it. So then I had to go back home, spend my time there trying to figure something out. The coaching business obviously flopped, and you can even go in my old videos. You can see me posting content when I was still running that stuff. You can even see, like in the background, I was sharing a bedroom with my stepbrother. So most of the videos there are actually filmed there. So the receipts are there, the proof is there. I've documented the whole journey. That's why I do YouTube. That's one of the main reasons why I've been filming YouTube videos for the past couple of years. So I stopped the coaching business, and then I was at a turning point. I didn't have any clients. Well, I did have a couple clients, but it was very inconsistent. A lot of things I did wrong, so I can make another video on mistakes I made when I ran my own business. But I was at a turning point now. I was like, okay, what do I do from here? I'm back at home. I don't have receipts for like my parents to show that, hey, this business stuff is picking up. What do I do? Didn't like that. Didn't like how I dropped out. But what do I do? So I didn't have anything to do really for a good several months, and then one of my friends hit me up. He said, hey, I just went viral on TikTok. I'm also starting a coaching business. Like a TikTok just got a million views. That's the most viewed one. And he was starting to get leads for his own coaching business. He was starting that up at the time. So he's like, hey man, it's a lot of leads coming through. Could you help me out with this? And initially, the plan originally was just do this over the weekend. Like, yeah, I'll come in, I'll do this over the weekend, and then I'll have to go take care of business again for my own thing, right? I was like, hey, cool, sounds good. What ended up happening was I was setting for him. I was setting for all the leads, and it was a bunch of leads, which is like me in a candy shop. And long story short, I made the most money during that weekend in a long time, just from appointment setting. So that was like my sign. Okay, time to go all in on this. This is something I have to commit to now. Because yeah, that's basically how I got started. A friend asked me, hey, could you help me out? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I just focus solely on one skill. And this is why I tell beginners all the time, focus on one skill before you start your own business. So I'm trying to wear different hats, starting your own business, doing what I did. I'm sure most of you will succeed running your own thing. But if you are going to be in a situation that I'm in, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So that's how I got started in setting. A friend asked me, do you handle these leads? I said yes. Booked them in like hotcakes. And then we started signing clients from there. I made commission, and then I just decided to go all in on that. So that's why I started. That's when I started. It answers both questions. And how I got started, answers all three questions. So that's how I got started, why I got started, and when I got started. So the next question is, can I be an appointment setter while I'm in Iran? So the thing about these questions that I get quite a bit on Instagram, on YouTube, if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, link in the description. The thing about these questions is like, you got to ask yourself, is there a good chance that people from XYZ country, from my country, from where I'm from my background, is there a good chance that they're making it work out? And then the answer is going to be 90% yes. Yes. I'm sure there's appointment setters who are crushing it in Iran. I'm sure there's appointment setters crushing it from India, from Canada, from Australia, from XYZ country, doesn't matter. Like, control the controllables, and even if you feel like it's uncontrollable, just see it in a different light. So what I'd say to that is what I just said. Like, I'm sure there's people crushing it. Like, a lot of people crushing it in appointment setting in Iran. There's a lot of people who are successful with their own business in Iran. Doesn't matter what you're doing. There's always going to be people who are succeeding in your area, and they're probably no different to you. They just decide to take more action and do more. So yeah, you can be an appointment setter from anywhere. It's just maybe there's certain nuances, but you never want to let that stuff like stop you from getting to where you want to go, wherever that is. Okay, so yeah, you can pretty much be an appointment setter from Iran. We just had a guy literally in the Slack channel in our program, link in the description to apply, in our program where we basically help people who are corporate sales or even beginners. Sometimes we used to help beginners, but we'll see if you apply. He was a total beginner, him personally. He got into our program. We showed him how to get into appointment setting, land a first position, how to make commission, etc. And literally a few minutes ago, he posted a win in the Slack channel saying how he said a 4K PIF deal that closed and he just made $400 in commission. He's from Mexico, guys. And he's like, I don't know how old he is, but he's pretty young. He's like 18, 19, 20. I'll have to ask him. But just goes to show how it doesn't matter where you're from. You just have to reframe the way you're thinking, and you just have to take action and go for it. Okay, so next question is best way to handle people asking about prices. So this is going to be setter objection handling. So if you're ever in a situation where you're in the DMs, people are asking already about the program, the pricing, there's a bit of nuance to this. I know some business owners tell their setters to just either drop the price or to give it like a frame, like a range as to what to expect the service will be, the program will be, whatever you're selling. I'd say that's only going to work if you have a ton of leverage. And what I mean by that is if the person you're setting for, they have a ton of, big brand, ton of followers, ton of engagement, just a lot of leverage, where it doesn't matter if you were to do that. If you were to do that, it wouldn't matter because you have so much lead flow coming in that losing one person would be detriment to you. Another thing where you could do that is, depends on the offer. So if the offer is like 7K, you wouldn't want to waste time hopping on a call with someone who's completely broke, right? No one wants that. So I'd say even in that situation, yeah, go ahead, give a price range as to how much to expect. So you could be like, in one of your questions, you could ask, okay, I mean, in order to get started, it's going to be looking at around 2 to 3K or 3 to 5K. Would you have the finances to invest in order for you to get started in something like this? Something like that will work. They're going to tell you yes, they're going to tell you no, or not right now, in which case you follow up. Then yeah, that should be fine. But as you probably know, if you've been watching the channel, I'm not a big fan of telling the price. I'm not a big fan of trying to sell the program as a setter in general, because why? That's not your job. That's the closer's job. Okay, the closer's job is to do that, to sell the program. You're just there to sell the meeting. So do your job, know your place. And if people ask about prices, what I usually say is like, look, it's application only, I'm afraid. So we don't even know if we're gonna be able to help you out in the first place. So best thing to do here, let's just get a one-on-one scheduled, or let's get a strategy session scheduled, or let's get a call scheduled, and see if it makes sense for the both of us. And then just go ahead, pitch the meeting, go from there. So that's what I do. And then obviously with the nuances, depending on the offer that you're on, the nature of it, etc., you can decide if you want to talk about price ranges or not. And the main reason why is because price can turn off a lot of people who are potentially good fits. So example on my end, story time again. I signed up so when I was thinking about, when I had one of my old mentors, I didn't plan on buying, I didn't plan on investing in them, but pretty much they didn't tell me what the price was, they didn't tell me how much it was. Had they told me what the price was while they were trying to set me, and I'll forever thank the setter and the closer for closing me, because that program changed my life. I wouldn't be where I am today. Had they not done that though, had they just told me outright what the price was, trying to sell the program, then I wouldn't have hopped on the call, I wouldn't be where I am today. But the setter just did their job. They just got me on the meeting. The closer worked their magic on me, and I closed, right? And setting the price can turn off a lot of like good fits, because let's say they literally are, let's say like they're tight on finances. Well, there's a classic saying that if someone was to give you a Ferrari for 5K, what would you do? You'd find a way by any means necessary to get that 5K, whether that's taking out a loan, opening up a new credit card, asking friends for money, etc. You'd do anything and everything to try and get that Ferrari for 5K, because the perceived value is up here compared to the money. You'd rather have the Ferrari, especially if it's going for just 5K, and this is the only opportunity you can do that, compared to just having the money. So it's all about perceived value. How much you charge means nothing, but initially, because people aren't in a buying state most of the time when they're appointment set, when they're being like in the DMs, right? So you never really want to turn them off too early. Just get them on the call, do your job, and then let the closer work their magic, because now they will be in a buying state. Now they'll be resourceful and they'll find a way to get the money. You get your commission, everyone wins. So that's my answer to that question. How to get prospects to open up. So in terms of that, you're gonna ask yourself a couple things. Okay, again, the business owner I'm setting for, like, what's the system? What's the setup? Is their profile optimized? Are they posting content consistently? Because I bring that up all the time, because content and profile does a lot of the heavy lifting for nurturing. So if you're doing outreach from a profile, or just from a standpoint where you don't have a lot of leverage, where you're just another cold person, another stranger, then it's gonna be very hard for them to open up, right? Because you don't have a ton of leverage. There's no reason for them to. They don't trust you. So you gotta ask, okay, look at the profile, is it actually good? If not, then that's your first problem. The second problem is obviously your DM setting. Well, volume, obviously. If you're not hitting up enough people, then it's gonna give the illusion that people aren't opening up, when in reality, you probably just have to shoot more shots, hit more people up, and just focus more on the people who are willing to open up. And by opening up, you guys, that basically means people giving like one-word answers. They're being a pain in the ass when you're trying to book people in. There's always gonna be those people, that's fine. Even in the best of the best offers, no matter how good of a setter you are, there's always gonna be people who are clams and they just don't wanna they just wanna owe up. They just don't wanna open up. So in that case, just move on. But if to fix the problem, then you're gonna ask yourself a couple things. So about the profile, the content, how much leverage do I have? Am I being too much? Am I being too interview? Am I being too salesy? Because that's another thing. Whenever you're too salesy or too interviewy, in my experience, that's gonna turn off people, and then they're not gonna want to open up, because they don't want to share details about themselves, because they feel like you could use that against them to try book them in, to try sell them, whatever. They have this agenda, they feel like you have an agenda. Okay, so am I being too interviewy? Ask that to yourself. Have I built enough rapport in my conversations? Ask that as well. So it's a multitude of things. You're gonna know ultimately what's best, what the main problems are, and then your job is just to fix that. But if they're just not opening up no matter what, then your best bet is just to move on. You know, focus on the people who actually are interested and actually aren't being a pain in the ass. So that's my answer to that question, how to get prospects to open up. Another question that we got here is how to get faster at clearing the inbox. I feel like I get caught up in conversations for too long. It's a really good question. So getting faster at clearing the inbox, it's funny because I hopped on a one-on-one call today with one of the students in the program, and their main issue was, well, one of the issues that popped up to me was them not clearing, was they're taking too long for each and every conversation. And what I basically told them was, when you think of setting and having conversations with people, in the beginning, you want to picture a graph. You want to picture a graph where it's like let's say on the y-axis, it's rapport, it's leverage, it's trust, whatever you want to put it, interest. On the x-axis is time, and then from the start is A to B. From A to B, obviously that's the path to get them from when you first make contact with them, when you start convo with them, all the way to booking them in for an appointment. So if you do appointment setting right, it should start off as pretty low on the graph, and then it should start creeping up to a point where there's like and it's a gut feeling. I told them this, it's a gut feeling, you're gonna develop it, but you're gonna feel like there's a point where it's a perfect time to pitch. It's like the peak of the conversation where you guys have built rapport, they've got a lot more interest compared to the beginning. Now would be a really good time to pitch. They've shared you their pain points, the leverage points. And then after that, if you go past that point, if you wait too long, if you drag the conversation out, then the interest, the peak is going to start dying down. I hope that makes sense. It's hard to explain without a graph, but I'm sure you can picture that. So in the beginning, you guys talk, gets better and better, you're sharing more about each other, yada, 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 pain points, leverage, desires, are telling you everything about what they want to do. And then if you leave that on for too long, if you drag it out, then the convo is going to start dying down, they lose interest. Again, gut feeling. So what I told him was, one of the mistakes he was making was he was leaving the conversation too long. He was letting it go past that peak point where, okay, now's the time to pitch. He's going past, and then that's why his conversations were too long. And in general, I just showed him ways to trim the fat, because he was talking quite a lot in the DMs when he didn't need to. He was saying things that he probably didn't need to, and he could have booked the call much easier. So you gotta get to that point where you pitch, not too early, but not too late. You just, at the right time, you get a gut feeling, and you just pitch there. And I'd rather you pitch earlier than later. I'd rather you do that. So that's how you're gonna get faster at cutting the inbox. Another thing you can do is, okay, where's your level of focus at? How's your productivity? Just do your job. Just cut out the distractions. Coffee if you need to, Red Bull if you need to, cigarette if you need to, and then just focus on the task at hand. Just block out distractions, put on some music if you need to, and just focus on the task at hand. Just clear the inbox, don't get distracted, and then after that you do what you want. Look up the Pomodoro technique, because that's something I've been using. So that's how you do it. And then the last question for today is how to find pain points. So this is going to be about leverage points. I made a couple of videos about that, so I can link it up here. But long story short, when you want to find pain points when you're appointment setting, it's very simple. Just know what your offer is inside out, and then what are some common pain points. So a good place to start is knowing what the common pain points are for your offer, for your audience, and then what are some common desires. Because knowing what your niche is, knowing what your market is, what they find painful, their struggles, their challenges with their desires, that does most of the heavy lifting. Because then it's gonna keep coming up, the same sort of pain points and desires, and then your job is just to identify that and then go deeper in it. So it's like sales. You find pain points by knowing what they are before they even come up, knowing what the prospect's going through better than they do, and then it's just about asking the right questions and guiding it. So, a good question, for example, that if they're not elaborating enough is what do you mean by that? Or could you be more specific? Or tell me more about that, if you're not being specific enough, right? And then just some other pain points, some other questions you can ask. You're gonna have to come up with that, because I don't know what niche you're operating in. People who are watching this will be in different offers, etc. So yeah, just make a list on what the common pain points are, common desires are, and then that's gonna do most of the heavy lifting for you, okay? So in terms of business op, for example, or high ticket sales or appointment setting, common pain points that I've identified over the past almost 12 months, as I said, started setting for the same offer almost 12 months ago. Common pain points: can't find a position, not making enough money on the offer that they're on, can't identify the scam offers versus the real ones, don't know how to scale, don't know how to transition to appointment setting, and then some other ones which are like, I really just want to leave my 9 to 5. It's stressful, it's highly taxing on the body, all that good stuff. I want to drop out of uni. Yeah, just a bunch of different pain points that have come up over the years. What else? Just want more time freedom, want more location freedom, want to travel more, all that good stuff, right? How do I know this? Because countless reps and then just countless hours of market research that's come along the way, okay? So that's how you're going to find the pain points. Again, helps to build plenty of rapport, so they open up to you more, tell you more about those pain points. But it's hard to say right now without actually, seeing the conversations at hand that you're having. So that concludes today's Setter Q&A. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it answered your questions as well. And then what we can do is we can do a part 2. Just leave more comments, leave more questions in the comment section about what you want to see. We can do a part 2 if it gets enough likes, if it gets enough comments, enough questions, then I'm happy to do a part 2. But this is the first one of many, and I hope it helps. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.